creative financing strategies back then. My preference was to use other people's money, mainly the bank's money. So this enabled me to purchase property without using any of my own money. My very first buy-to-let purchase over 25 years ago was a property with a value of £60,000. I agreed a £40,000 purchase price. I went to the bank and borrowed £57,000, paid the 40, had £17,000 in the bank. I thought that's the way to do it. In the last 25 years, I built up a multi-million-pound property portfolio, which I manage myself today with staff, and that generates profits of well into six figures every year. Now, if you remember 2007, we have a bit of a banking crisis. That was a problem for us investors because it meant that it was difficult for us to obtain further finance. So I needed to find a new strategy. Luckily, my business partner, Mesud, came along at that time, and we started to use instalment contracts. And in fact, we've been using instalment contracts now for over 3.5 years. We've completed on over 40 deals, and each deal has brought in a profit of somewhere between £40,000 and £50,000. Over to you, Mr.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who haven't heard about me before, let me introduce myself. I came in 2005, 29 of August 2005, as a university student to Richmond American University. 1 year later, I changed to Brunel University. I think I have a student friend from Brunel University. Am I right? Somewhere in the room. So I'll talk to her later. I think she doesn't remember me. So, I started studying in 2005. I came here with £825 in my wallet. Next day I had to pay my university maintenance fees, £800, and I had £25 left. So my English wasn't good, still isn't. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anyone in the UK. So I made a decision that day. I said, I'm going to make money. All life, my parents have been working for me to bring me to this country and gain nice education in the UK. So I had to make it work. So next day I found a job. Started working part-time in a restaurant. During the day I was going to uni. Soon I realised that the restaurant staff was living in a staff house in Twickenham. And the owner of the restaurant offered me to live in there as well. I found out the house was 4 bedrooms, had a couple of lounges and a porch. And I asked him if I can manage the house and start subletting the rooms. He allowed me to do that. He said, get on with it, manage the property, I don't want to have nothing with it. You pay the mortgage, you pay the bills, take it over. Soon I realised I was making more money from subletting rooms than I was making working part-time in a restaurant, and I was living for free. I said, property is great. So how I can buy more of those? So I started attending property events like you do guys here. I started going around the country and meet people. And I met Doug in one of the property meetings. He was marketing himself as the most creative mortgage broker in the universe. I said, wow, impressive. Well, and it was 2008 when the property crash happened. I said, Doug, if you're the most creative mortgage broker in the universe, can you get me a mortgage? And, well, I had a very nice long chat with him next day, and he said, no, the mortgage market has changed. We have to find something different. Okay, I said, Doug, you know what? I learned these installment contracts from a recent workshop I attended. So, and you have lots of deals on the table that needs converting. Shall we make some money? He said, great, let's start working together. Since then, we've bought over 40 properties. We have 4 different companies that we run at the moment, and life has changed a lot.
So let's do an overview of the evening. We're going to look at, first of all, what is an instalment contract? Let's get it straight, exactly what that is. We're going to show you how we're making massive profits in every deal. We're going to show you some real-life examples to give you a true-life example of exactly how to do it. We're going to show you how we're buying and controlling property using a single document. And then we're going to bring our offer to you if this clicker keeps on working for me. It keeps stopping. There we go. So this is...
Doug, what is an instalment contract?
Well, an instalment contract is not an option. Andy did allude to this earlier on. It is not an option.
What is it then?
Good question. Well, actually, it's like a standard conveyance. What we're looking for We're not looking for tenants, we're looking for buyers. So an instalment contract is an exit strategy. We do not use instalment contracts as a buying strategy, it's an exit strategy. And because we use it as an exit strategy, it provides us with more opportunities. How many people in the UK today do you think can't get a mortgage? Would it be most of the people or the smallest amount of people? Most of the people can't get a mortgage because they either can't get a mortgage, they don't qualify, or they haven't got a big enough deposit. We're looking for those people, that's the people we market to. So it's quite an easy market to find. It presents more opportunities because there are more people to sell to. It's also the most profitable strategy by far because it enables us to sell the property over market value. It enables us to charge between 7 and 25% more than the market value because we are selling an opportunity to a person who would otherwise be a tenant. It sells an opportunity to them to become a property owner because we exchange contracts. It's a standard conveyance, meaning the buyer and the seller exchange contracts, so there will be a completion day. There's not an option where it's a handed back at some time in the future. There will be a completion day. It's a unique money-making strategy because there are different paydays. It provides day one profits on exchange of contracts. As normal, the buyer pays a deposit. It also then provides a massive monthly cash flow. And the cash flow that it provides is far greater than any other strategy, including HMOs. The simple reason for that is because it takes away the cost of a tenant. If we move a buyer into the property, there are no tenant expenses. The buyer pays the ground rent and service charges if it's a leasehold. We have no voids, we have no maintenance problems, we have no repairs, no renewals. The buyer does all of that. So let's show you how we're making massive profits in every deal. We're going to show you some examples and we're going to repeat the examples. We're not going to repeat the same example, that would be silly. We're going to repeat the examples because I find the best way to teach people or for people to learn is by repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. By the time you see it 2 or 3 times, the penny starts to drop. So this was a property that was owned by a chap named Glenn in Station Road. It's a simple 1-bedroomed flat, ground floor flat. Now Glenn had been trying to sell this property for 11 months and he was being offered prices below the outstanding mortgage balance. He of course couldn't accept those offers. All he wanted to do was to sell the property, move in with his girlfriend's parents, save for a deposit to buy a house together to have children and get married and have children. And this was stopping him from getting on with his life. So we said, Glenn, how would it make you feel if we could babysit your property for you and we'll also babysit your mortgage payments for you? So we're not going to take over your mortgage, we're just going to babysit them, look after them. So with that, we signed a legal document. We now have control over the property. We haven't paid any money for the property. We're babysitting the property and we're babysitting the mortgage payments. Now that we've controlled the property, within an hour and a half we put it on the market. Mesud, can you tell us what that says?
Buy my flat, 1-bedroom, no mortgage needed, £5,000 moves it in, 597 per calendar month, and the flat is yours. Call Vicky.
So we had a lot of interest, not only from people who were wishing to buy the property, but also from the local press, from the local council, of course. So we got some free advertising, which is what we were trying to achieve. But we found a buyer who wished to move into this property on an instalment contract. So Mesud, can you give us some numbers on that?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain that. If you do something differently, you're going to attract a lot of attention. Estate agents put one sign on a property, and they never put the price. I don't understand. It's not logical. You're selling a product and you haven't got a price on it. How funny is that? So, well, we did totally opposite to the different. We put a price on it, massive big price, and we put about 21 signs on. Do you think we got some attention? Well, that got us on Kent Radio, Kent Messenger, invitation for a chat from the council. Well, and being on Station Road, do you think many people go to the station every now and then? Well, that got us a buy within an afternoon. Tina, very interesting lady, lovely lady, But she decided to split with her husband, and she wanted to move out from their family home and buy herself a nice small place. She didn't want to rent, she wanted to own a place. But being, well, I don't know, for those of you who have been in a marriage split, if you go through a marriage split, usually your credit score is not good, because either one of you haven't been paying the bills, and that's why you've been arguing, and that's why you decided to get rid of each other. So she didn't have brilliant credit score, but she had plenty of equity in her family house. So she wanted to move in with a small deposit without the need of getting a mortgage, and in the future, when she sells that family home, to pay us off completely. Well, we asked for £5,000, as you see on the ad, but she had £19,000. But do you think we have rejected that amount? No, we took the £19,000. We said, Tina, okay, when would you like to move in? She moved in within 28 days. We reduced our cash flow to £40 a month because we took a very, very big deposit. This property was worth probably about £75,000. The mortgage outstanding on it was £82,000. How do you sell a negative equity property? Can any of you sell a negative equity property today? Well, that's why Glenn come to us. We sold it for £89,995. Again, because it's an instalment contract, they are not paying all the money today. So, because of the fact that they're moving with a deposit and no need to get a mortgage, they love the fact that they can move in with that small amount of money and they do not negotiate for the price. Remember, they always pay the price if you present them with an opportunity. So, she moved in, £19,000 in, £40 a month cash loan, but we were slightly behind in terms of, we took the deposit and we had to pay some of that towards reducing the mortgage. Just to keep our profits high, we put an early redemption penalty on her paperwork, saying if you decide to cash out within 7 years, you will pay us an extra fee of £6,000. She said, okay, that's fine. She moved in. 8 months later, she said, well, my family house is sold. I've got a nice bunch of cash. Can I pay it early? I said, Tina, you have a penalty charge of £6,000. Is that right? She said, no problem, I will pay it. That's how we sold the house. How much would we make?
How much did we make on this one?
£19,400.
£19,400 in 8 months.
In 8 months. Who would you like this deal?
The important thing is here, we didn't pay anything for this property. We didn't move any tenants into the property. We didn't have to repair it or renew anything. So therefore it creates massive opportunities because there's thousands of these out there. So let's look at another babysit. As we said, we're going to repeat these examples. So babysit number 2 is a property down in Medway Towns, and this is a property owned by a taxi driver named Bob, who'd hurt his foot and couldn't work for a while, so he was going to be repossessed. We were speaking to him on Wednesday. You sure?
That's a bit early.
I think. You cut about 15 minutes off of that, have you? Anyway, they're cutting our time short because we're going to run over. So Bob was a taxi driver. And he couldn't work, so he's going to be repossessed next Thursday. So he owed GE money £1,800. Been repossessed for £1,800. So he said, Bob, how would it make you feel if we could babysit your property for you, we'll babysit your mortgage payments for you, we'll pay off the £1,800 of GE money, and we'll allow you to move off. He was already packing his boxes and moving on to his sister's house. So we'll allow you a little bit more time to pack your boxes and move in with your sister. So he was happy enough for us to sign a contract, take control over his property for zero cost, in return that we would babysit his property, babysit his mortgage payments, and then pay off GE money over a period of time. We now have control over the property, so we decide to sell on an instalment contract.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you another secret. This property we didn't market with ugly signs. We put it on Rightmove. We put it on Rightmove under the deposit amount. But here is the key. We have a special agreement with Rightmove where we can list under the deposit amount. So when you go on Rightmove and search for property in your area, do you click lowest price first or highest price first?
No.
Thank you. So if somebody lists a property for £7,000, no mortgage required, and somebody's searching for property in that area, lowest price first, who's going to get the most clicks? Thank you. So we made a comparison. We marketed a property under a full market value, and we marketed a property under a deposit amount for a while, and the results were staggering. In a week's time, we got 120,000 clicks if it was marketed under the deposit amount, and 260 clicks if it was marketed under the full price. So we put that property on the market straight away. In the afternoon, we had a buyer. A buyer that was coming all the way from Dagenham. They were living in a 2-bedroom flat. Nice African family. They were in the social care industry, both husband and wife, self-employed, looking after elderly people. They had a nice deposit, but they couldn't get a mortgage. They haven't been living long enough in the country, and they loved the opportunity to buy a 3-bedroom house so their kids, each of them, can have a bedroom each. So they love the fact that they can move in with £7,000, no mortgage required, and buy a 3-bedroom house. Doug, how did you sell the house?
Well, we was there, Bob was there to show the family round. There was the mum and dad and 2 small children. There was one about this big and one about this big. And we were stood outside the house, and I said to the youngest boy, run inside and choose the bedroom before your eldest brother goes in and chooses his bedroom.
Creating competition.
So he'd run upstairs, and by the time we got inside, the youngest boy was there in the smallest bedroom, and there was a bed in the room, and he couldn't believe there was a bed in the room. He was saying, there's a bed, there's a bed. So obviously this young boy hadn't been sleeping on a bed before. So he said, do you think Bob would leave it behind for me? I said, of course, if you go and ask him, I'm sure he will. So he just ran in the other room. Bob was with his parents, pulled on his coat, said, Bob, can I have the bed? And Bob said, of course you can have the bed, no problem. And that's basically what sold the house. The first people to see the house purchased, because it was a unique opportunity for a family to own a property without the need of going down the bank and getting a mortgage.
Remember, this property had a little bit of arrears, so we are getting £799 from this property every single month. After we pay off the mortgage and the contribution towards the arrears, we've got £250 net cash flow. Ladies and gentlemen, these deals on average cash out in 60 months. Okay, some of them can go slightly longer, some of them can go slightly shorter, but on average, your buyer will be cashing you out, paying you off within 60 months. So that's why we use a 60-month calculation to predict our cash flow. So this property is giving us £50,000 in net cash flow over a 5-year period. Also a £20,000 backhead. Right, Bob was in the repossession process, so we bought the property slightly below market value, but we also sold the property quite a low bit of a market value, because we can sell an installment contract and estate agents can't. So that's how much we made, Doug?
42,000. On average over the 5-year period, which we determined that that's how long it's going to take for these people to cash out, 42,000. Remember, we haven't paid any money for this property. It's controlled under a single document. We haven't moved any tenants into the property. We haven't had to repair it or renew anything. 0 costs.
Who would like this deal? Come on, all hands up. Thank you.
You know, we find when we come to these meetings, when people stand up and they ask for some help or offer some help, most people are asking for money. Has anybody out there got any money they want to invest in me so that I can do a project? Well, you don't need any money for these projects. You don't need to ask anybody else to JV with you and share the profits. You don't need anybody else's money. It's perfect if you haven't got any money. Let's have a look at another babysit.